Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 6th of March 2024. So I've just finished up a little job. Basically the customers were rejigging their kitchen a little bit, not a total refurb, but just a bit of a rejig. So they wanted me to alter the kitchen wiring a little bit. So I got that done for them. They're very happy. But while I was there, they had Radio 2 on BBC Radio 2. And just as I was leaving, Jeremy Vile came on. Yep, that's a deliberate mispronunciation of his name because that's what he is, Vile. And luckily, I only had to listen to the first 10 minutes or so of his show before I was out of there, thankfully. But a couple of stories that's on his show today. First of all, it's the budget here. The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt's going to be making his speech in a bit, but a lot of people seem to know what the budget's going to be already. There's been a bit of leakage or whatever. And apparently one of them is they're going to reduce the tax that we call national insurance here in the UK down by a little bit, a couple of percent, and probably hoping that that's going to vastly improve their chances at the upcoming general election. Well, these politicians, they kind of don't seem to understand the concept of memory, that some of us, electorate at least, actually have memories. Because what happened about 2.5–3 years ago, this current Conservative government put the national insurance up by quite a whopping amount, probably more than what they're putting it down by, but I remember it was a large amount. And now they're just putting it back down to, at best, where we started a few years ago, and they're expecting to win the general election by doing that. I mean, how pathetic. I mean, these politicians, they just don't live on the same planet as we do. And I thought it was remarkable that they seem to not really realise the concept of people's memories. So absolutely crazy. And then the other story that Vile was going on about, that he's going to be talking about today, is apparently there's a court case coming up, and it's some people who were in care homes back in the very early days of the lurgy, and they apparently caught the lurgy, have never been right ever since. And they're blaming it on the fact that these care homes didn't have enough PPE, basically. So they're taking, I don't know who it is, I don't know if it's the care homes or the government or both, but they're taking them to court to sue them, which is quite remarkable, because I'd have thought, out of all the things they could be taking the government to court on, the lack of PPE would be the least thing they could be doing. What comes to my mind, and probably yours as well, is something that starts with the letter M. I won't elaborate anymore, but I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about. If you don't, locate your sort of nearest truther friend and they will be happy to enlighten you. So yeah, just a couple of absolutely ridiculous stories there. The government being ridiculous, and court cases that are happening when, frankly, far larger court cases should be happening. You know, politicians should be there in court, like Johnson and Hancock and quite a few others. So I thought I'd just finish up today by talking about the event I went to and filmed on Sunday, this Sunday just gone. It was an event put on by a guy called Clive de Carle, and Richard Vobes was there talking, Matt Le Tissier, the footballer, was there talking, and among various other people as well. And it was a great day. I've been kind of doing all the editing over the last few evenings, and hopefully get it all done by the end of the week. and then I'll be uploading some of the talks onto here and some of them onto my Rumble channel. So look out for those things coming very shortly. And also just a final shout out for the event happening down in Tisbury at the weekend on the 9th of March, which is this kind of coming Saturday. It's Wednesday now, so only a few days to go, and I'll leave details in the description box below here on how you can attend and where the venue is. I think you can just turn up and pay cash on the door. So, but I'll also give you a phone number as well. So that's what I've been doing, and a real takeaway point from one of the talks that I heard on Sunday. It was Clive who actually said this, and because we all know, don't we, that the medical profession here in the Western world isn't the best, is it? The pharma companies aren't great. And there's one very simple reason for that. Basically, they only make money when you're sick. Think about it. If they're only going to make any money when people are sick, what is the motivation that they're going to have to make people well? Because after all, we know how these, kind of people, big bosses, think and operate, how these big companies operate, don't we? It's all about profit. I don't watch the BBC, well, unless, or listen to it, unless I'm in someone's house, like I just mentioned. But when I did watch it, I used to watch something called BBC Watchdog. Used to quite enjoy that programme. If you don't know it, if you're from abroad, it's basically a consumer program where they sort of go after companies that aren't behaving themselves really and take them to task. So that's a very brief explanation, and a good number of their articles over the years involved car companies who had a problem with one of their vehicles, and often quite dangerous faults. And you'd think if that came to their attention, after half a dozen such reports of the same thing happening to the same car, they'd be, okay guys, we've got a problem. We're going to recall all of these cars. We're going to fix them. We're going to come up with a solution. You'd think that's what they'd be like, wouldn't you? But no, they, more often than not, they just deny the problem. You go into the dealer and say, look, I've got this problem, and they just sort of turn around and go, oh, it must be the way you're driving it, mate. And they just completely, ignore the problem, normally until Watchdog got onto them and forced them to mend their ways. But that is how these big companies operate. They're only there for profit. And when you bear in mind that companies to do with the medical field basically operate in the same way, you can imagine, can't you, that they haven't really got your best interests at heart. And what Clive said in his talk is, just imagine if that whole paradigm was flipped 180 degrees on its head. So instead of doctors and medical companies, pharmaceutical companies only making money when you're poorly, when you're ill, how about if they only make money when you're well? Apparently, this is what they used to do in China. I can't believe modern China does this, but apparently, so this guy was saying, in China in the old days, families would have a doctor, they'd pay him while they're well. So don't know how they did it, whether it's a yearly subscription or monthly subscription, and they'd carry on paying the guy while the whole family was well. But if a family member became sick, they would stop their payment. They'd go, sorry, my wife's sort of ill this month, I'm not going to pay you for this month. And that would be the accepted thing. just imagine if we had a medical system like that, how many people would soon start recovering from ailments, supposed ailments that they've got, which are long term. It may well be that they recover from such things quite a lot more quickly than you might realise. So and it's such a simple thing, isn't it? You just have to sort of take a concept and flip it on its head, and we could sort of take a healthcare system in the Western world, which, pardon the pun, is quite frankly very, very sick, and we could vastly improve it just by that shift in thinking. So just a thought, had a few today. Tell me what you think about either that I've just discussed, or the other ones. And like I say, watch out for these videos. I'll be putting them out. I'll come back on and mention them and where you can find them, but be on the lookout for those. And if you want to go to Tisbury on Saturday, I'll leave basically the details down in the description box. So until then, I'll leave it. Back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.